Hi, welcome to Yoga Any Day. My name is Elizabeth Stewart. Thank you so much for joining me. Today we're going to be doing some yoga in alignment with the astrological energies of the full moon eclipse in Gemini on November 30th. So we're going to take a look at the astrological chart for this full moon. We'll do 3 yoga poses relating with 3 of the aspects happening at this time. And then we'll do 3 vinyasas, which will be flowing poses representing a progression through these aspects. So the first aspect that we'll look at is Mercury in Scorpio sextiling Saturn and Jupiter in Capricorn. Mercury is the ruler of this full moon because the full moon is in Gemini and Mercury is the ruler of Gemini. Mercury right now is at 27 degrees of Scorpio. It's been 2 months since Mercury first went into Scorpio because of the retrograde. It's been there a long time. It retrograded back into Libra and then came back into Scorpio. It's been a long, heavy journey. Mercury in Scorpio has been processing a lot of fears. And it's been intense, heavy, and it's coming now, Mercury, to the end of its journey through Scorpio, finally. As it comes to the end of the sign, we can feel the accumulated weight of everything that we've been through while it's been in that sign. This is also the case with Saturn and Jupiter, coming to the end of their journey through Capricorn, which has been very long and very intense. It's been most of the year, and these planets are where this heavy weight of 2020 is represented in the astrology. So all of this intense restructuring that we've been going through is represented by these planets here in Capricorn, and as they're coming to the end of their journey, we can look back over the last year and just feel again that accumulated weight of everything that we've been through. As we're reaching the end of the journey, we can also pick up the rewards that we've earned through all of this hard work and processing. The aspect that's happening here between Mercury and Saturn and Jupiter is a sextile, as I said, and that's a positive, supportive aspect. So we're being shown maybe the goodness of all of the hardship that we've been through. We can also look forward as we're coming to this end to where these planets will be going next. Mercury is going to join up with the Sun in Sagittarius, and Saturn and Jupiter are going to move into Aquarius in December. So this is a rising energy. It's a much more open, expansive energy, and we can look forward to that. I think that what's happening here is some release of the restrictions that we've been through, and a support for us rising through our fears and through the difficulties that we've been through. I think that when we are called to go down deep within ourselves and feel our fears, which we've been doing particularly with Mercury in Scorpio, we're rewarded with access to our own power. To me, it's like an elevator going down in a building. When you go down to a low level where your fears are, say, that's also where your basic power lies. So by processing these fears, we're also accessing the parts of ourselves that have the capacity to incorporate those fears and work through them. And that's our power. For a yoga pose that relates with this aspect, we're going to do a seated, wide-legged forward bend. If this is tricky for you, which for a lot of people it is, I would say the number one thing you can do to make it easier would be to elevate your hips, meaning you can sit on a yoga bolster or a pillow, you could sit on blocks. The higher your hips are, the easier it's going to be to lean forward. So coming into sitting with your legs apart, you don't need to have the legs straight, right? I'm very much about adjusting poses for your own body, which to me basically is wisdom, right? We might have an idea of how we want things to go, But when we're dealing with reality, we have to be wiser than just having an idea. So if you feel pressure in the inner knees in particular, because those are sensitive areas and we don't want to push them, feel free to bend your knees. You can bend them up towards the ceiling. You can roll them open a little bit out to the sides. Listen to your body and do what feels best for you. Also, how far apart should your legs be? That's up to you and your body. Right now, how does it feel? We're just starting out, so I wouldn't go as wide as you possibly can. I don't think that would be wise. So lifting up tall through your spine, if you'd like to bring your hands back behind you onto the floor to help press down through your arms and lift your chest up, you can do that. Let's just take a few breaths here. Try to feel yourself rising up tall. And we can bring the head side to side a little bit, just loosening up in the neck. Pressing down through the shoulders. Take some nice, easy exhales, releasing tension through your jaw. And gently coming forward. We can start with resting the hands on the legs, or wherever you want. Just propping the weight of your torso a little bit to make it easier to slide into the pose. And again, nice long breaths. So we're opening through the inner legs. We're opening through the hips. We can think of this as dealing with our fears, as well as accessing our basic power. That's the supportive aspect, that through our fears, we find our power. I'm always up for wiggling side to side, rotating through the spine, finding your way in easily instead of confronting yourself. There's enough confrontation just interacting with the world. We don't need to confront our body in yoga. We can easily work with it, talking with it, listening to it, and finding our way in. On a physical level, I don't want you to feel strain in your lower back. So ways to work with that would be to use your arms a little bit more strongly to prop your weight up, and especially to rotate your pelvis back. Your legs are attached to your pelvis, so when you rotate your pelvis back, you're stretching your legs. Breathe long, steady, easily. Gently coming forward. You can support the lower back with some strength in the stomach. Breathe all the way down into the hips and listen to those inner thighs. How far do they want you to go? You can try squeezing the thighs if you want. You can try flexing the feet. Make it as active as you want, or as loose and passive as you feel. Maybe you want to walk the arms all the way forward, bringing your chest forward and down. You can let your head rest. If that's too much for you, you can just prop yourself on your elbows or keep your arms on your legs for support. See if you can feel some freedom in the rib cage, allowing the inhale to really come in. And that reassurance of the sextile with these Capricorn planets can be there on the exhale. We're allowed to release some tension here. Inhaling, letting the breath come in deep. Exhaling, feeling supported to release tension. Gently working your way back up. And let's bring the legs in. We'll just fold them And let your chest hang down, stretching the outsides of the hips a little bit here. After all of that opening, it's nice to do the opposite. Little wiggle, little sway, and we can cross the legs the other way, bending forward again, stretching the hips the opposite way. And again, a little sway, a little bend, just releasing. And gently coming back up. The next aspect that we'll work with is the full moon itself. This is a full moon eclipse. The moon is at 8 degrees, 38 minutes in Gemini, and the sun is at 8 degrees, 38 minutes in Sagittarius. Gemini is represented by the twins, and it works mostly with information and learning. A full moon, and particularly a full moon eclipse, is shining a light on a truth. The eclipse part of it can make it more intense, and it can feel like things are coming to a head. The full moon in Gemini is a representation of a new way of looking or thinking that's going to teach us something. For a fresh perspective, the yoga pose that we're going to do to represent this energy is fish pose. We're going to flip upside down and turn on our heads. I think that this will help us see things in a new way. And through this new perspective, it's offering us a new way of thinking, and that's how we learn. So, starting sitting, we're going to warm up the lower back just a little bit. You can hold onto your knees or your shins and just rock back. Again, you can wiggle, you can sway. Try squeezing your stomach to press into the lower back to help the lower back stretch and open up. Again, you can move your head side to side, pressing the shoulders down, loosening in your neck. Breathing easily, just receiving information. This is very Gemini, so receiving information from your body. Let's rotate the ankles here a little bit, just thoroughly warming up and feeling. And then we're going to start our fish pose with the soles of the feet together and the knees open to the sides. Walk your hands pretty far back, and if it's comfortable for you to have the fingers pointing back, do that. If they need to be a little more facing out to the sides or even forward towards your hips, that's fine. Just try to roll open through your chest and arch gently through your back. We want to rotate the pelvis here to lift the lower back up and forward. If it feels good to press the knees open wide and down, go for that. If it feels like it's pulling too much on your lower back, just let the legs hang. See if you can squeeze through your stomach a little bit. So we're really lifting up as we're arching. Your head can be with your chin tucked to your chest if you need. You can look up at the ceiling, or you can let your head fall all the way back for a really different perspective. Long breath into your rib cage and into your chest. Exhale, reaching that lower back up and forward. Also the middle back, also the upper back. And if you'd like to come down onto your elbows, you're welcome to do that. And let's try stretching the legs straight down now. You can either stay propped up on your elbows if that's where you are, or you can lie down all the way on your back and then lift up through your spine and let the elbows support you from that side. Just different ways of doing the pose depending on how deep you want to go. Try squeezing your thighs and allowing that to help you rotate the pelvis to lift your lower back really up and forward. Long breath again, into the chest, into the ribs. If your head is all the way backwards, maybe you feel the crown of your head on the ground. Really go long through your chin. See if you can feel a stretch in the throat. And if you'd like to, you can lift the legs up in the air, and you can even lift the arms in the air as well. If at any point you feel like taking a break, please take a break. You can always come back. And we'll gently bring the legs bent. And just rest here for a minute. You can maybe have your hands on your rib cage. Let the spine lengthen down, resting on the ground. And a little pelvic tilt here, using your stomach to press your lower back down into the ground, feeling the support of the floor for your lower back. Again, you can always wiggle, you can always sway. Breathe gently. And we'll come back to the chart again for our last aspect that we'll talk about. When there's an eclipse, that happens because the moon is near its nodal axis. This full moon is near its north node, which is at 20 degrees 31 minutes of Gemini. The south node, being in Sagittarius, has to do with letting go of the past. The north node has to do with our future trajectory. Where are we being called to go? You can check your natal chart to see which house the north node and the south node are each in for more information about how this might specifically relate with you. With the north node at 20 degrees 31 minutes of Gemini, I want to talk about the Sabian symbol for that degree. Sabian symbols are intuitive messages. There's one for each degree of the zodiac. If you want to find out more, you can just Google it. I won't go into it too much right now. But the Sabian symbol for this degree is a tumultuous labor demonstration. This talks about a revolution against a feeling of injustice or an uprising. I like to look for this within ourselves rather than in a social context. So maybe we have a part of ourselves that we've been repressing, and at this time we're being called to balance it. So if you feel like you have maybe some gut feelings, right? Something coming up from below, that's the labor demonstration. In society, it would be maybe like a lower class, right? Demonstrating against the upper class. In our body, we can think of it as our lower chakras or our lower energies rising up in revolution against our higher part in our body, which would be our head, right? So balancing our emotions with our ruling class, with our brain. Gemini being about the twins, it can feel like there are two sides. How can we balance these two sides? I think that the North Node is asking us to find a higher answer that negates this sense of dichotomy. The higher answer is love. Love accepts all. Love is unity. And love is oneness. For a yoga pose to incorporate this energy, we're going to do the splits. That might sound terrible to you. Don't worry. It's not going to be more than what you can handle. We're going to go really easily into this. In the splits, we have one leg going one way and the other leg going the other way, and we're kind of caught in the middle, right? So for me, this is the Gemini twins, the dichotomy, the sense of choice. Should I go this way or that way? And then the torso with a nice open chest is finding the balance between these two sides. It's the higher answer, it's our heart, and it's our love. So you can start on your knees. I suggest that if the split sounds tricky to you, you have something to hold on to. Could be a chair or a table, whatever, just to rest your weight on. You can lean all the way over so you've got a forearm resting on the chair to take the weight off of your legs and your pelvis. You may want to have a pillow under your back knee if it's uncomfortable for your knee to be on the ground with weight on top of it. You can put a pillow so that when you bring one foot forward, it'll have a cushion underneath it. If it's really uncomfortable for you, if that's not even good enough, right? If it's really uncomfortable to have weight on your knee, you can have the back leg straight. So just know that there are many ways that you can adjust this pose to make it actually comfortable for you. So we're going to step 1 foot forward. And we're going to start with tucking through the pelvis a little bit, starting to stretch in the front of the back leg. Breathe. Breathe easily. Maybe you can rub a little bit with your hand on the front of that thigh or hip. Let the breath come in there. See if you can use your stomach to lift up a little through the rib cage. And we're going to gently, gently start to bring the hips forward, stretching more in the front of that hip. Let the breath go in there. So we have to listen to what's coming up from below. When we breathe in to a body part, it's like we're feeding it with attention, space, awareness, and asking it for information to rise up. It's like we want to know how it feels when we breathe in there. So give it some space, give it some breath, and then we're gently going to bring the hips back. You can either straighten that front leg all the way, or if that's too much for you, it doesn't matter if that front knee is still a bit bent. If you lean your chest forward and you're pushing your hips back, you can stretch the back of that front leg, even if the knee's not straight. Again, breathing into the back of that leg, feeding it with awareness, allowing the messages from it to come up, listening to what it has to say. And we're going to rock forward again, lifting up in your torso, bringing that back hip forward. Breathe into the front of that leg. And bringing the hips back again, stretching the back of the front leg. You can go as far as you want here. You can flex that front foot. You can squeeze that front thigh. You can bring your chest all the way forward and down to increase the stretch. And we'll come forward again. One more time, asking that back hip, what does it have to say? Feeding it with awareness, feeding it with the inhale. See if you can sink down through that hip a little bit. If it feels comfortable, it can let go. As those muscles let go, your pelvis will sink more forward and down. And we'll stretch the hips back one more time, bringing your chest forward, straightening that front leg, Dropping into the stretch in the back of that front leg. Allowing for space and awareness when the inhale comes in. And the exhale carries the information from that leg up and out. Coming a bit forward again, we're going to drop into the splits. So reach that front foot forward, 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 as far as you'd like to go. So now we're listening and breathing into both legs at the same time. See if you can rise up through your torso and really feel your heart and your chest expand. That's our north node. How big can you allow your heart to be? All the way is the answer, right? The heart, when it opens all the way. Your chest can be huge, high, wide. One more really nice long breath here, really expanding in your heart, really expanding in your chest. And then gently sliding that front leg back. Let's have both knees bent and we'll just slide the hips side to side, releasing some tension. And we'll bring the other foot forward now. And we'll start with lifting up through your chest and tucking the pelvis. Starting to stretch in the front of that back hip. Again, you can touch it with your hand a little, just giving it some love, giving it some awareness. Easy breath. And gently letting the hips slide forward and down, moving into more of a stretch in the front of that back hip. We really don't have to push here at all. We can just allow this intense stretch to let the information come up from that hip. We're just listening to the hip. And easily sliding the hips back now, straightening the front leg however much you want to, and stretching the back of that front leg. Inhaling, listening, exhaling, releasing tension. Sliding the hips forward again. Stretching the front of that back hip. Go at your own pace. Listen to your own body. Sliding the hips back again. Straightening that front leg. You can bring your chest however far forward you'd like. Try to rotate the pelvis back to move the stretch into the back of the front leg rather than into your lower back. Coming forward again with the hips. See if you can feel a softening in the front of that back hip. And we'll stretch the hips back one more time. You can squeeze that front leg. You can flex that front foot if you'd like. You can bring your head all the way forward and down if you'd like. However much of a stretch that leg would like to have, you can supply it. Long listening breaths. And then we're going to reach that leg forward, 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 forward into our splits. Dropping the pelvis forward and down and rising up through your chest. Feeling your heart, feeling your chest opening wide. How wide can your heart open? All the way. So even though it's intense in both legs, try to keep your focus on your heart. That's the North Node. Maybe you can feel that as the heart softens, the hips soften too. Just a few more long breaths. And bringing the hips back up and back, sliding that foot back. We'll come back onto the hands and knees. This time, let's rotate the pelvis in a whole circle. Forward, side, back, side. A couple times in one direction, and changing to the opposite direction. Okay, so we're ready for our vinyasas. The first one that we're going to do will begin with a wide squat. You can have your feet pointing straight forward, or they can be a little bit turned out if that's easier for you. I want you to come down into a squat and see if you can bring the elbows to the inner knees and bring the palms together. This is our Mercury sextile Saturn and Jupiter. It's grounded. It's dealing with our basic fears and our basic power. Then we're going to flow into our Gemini eclipse, full moon eclipse pose, which for this vinyasa is going to be a standing forward bend. So you can straighten both legs and let your chest and your head come all the way down. This is also our fresh perspective here, right? We're turning upside down to see things in a new way. So we're going to flow between these two poses to start. Bending the knees down into the squat, trying to bring the palms together, using the elbows to open the knees, rising up through your chest, allowing a deep opening in the pelvis, and then our forward bend, straightening both legs and diving down. Flowing back and forth at whatever pace feels right for you. When you're in your forward bend, you can have the hands down on the ground. You can also bring them back around behind the legs. You can hook your hands towards each other behind the legs. And you could even reach your hands through, tuck your head down, and touch your hands to the back of your head. That's if you can go pretty far. But I'm just giving you options. Then we're going to stand all the way up, finding our pose that represents our north node here. Reach up very long through your whole body. Reach the arms all the way up. Let's have the palms together, facing up towards the ceiling with your fingers. Squeeze up long. You can look up at your hands if you'd like. This is our unity. This is our oneness beyond the dichotomy. Long breath, really reaching up. Feel your heart rise and open. And let's bring the arms out to the sides and down with the palms facing out, just really radiating out through our heart. And releasing that. So the next vinyasa we'll do, we're going to come down to sitting. This is going to be a variation on bound angle pose. So you're going to have the soles of your feet together with your knees open. And again, if this is a little intense for you, you might want to have your hips elevated, sitting on something. So we're going to make a little unique variation here. We're going to have one knee open down to all the way to the ground and the other knee facing up to the ceiling. You can rock your weight all the way onto the butt on the side where your leg is down. And then we're going to rock over and switch to the other side, bringing the other leg all the way down to the ground and the other knee all the way facing up to the ceiling. So we're working here again with opening the pelvis, which is the Mercury and Scorpio processing the fears, and also the Capricorn planets providing support. As we rock from side to side, we're getting into that Gemini full moon energy, which is one side, the other side. This is the twins. One side, the other side. Find your own pace. I recommend that you really focus on keeping the shoulders down just to avoid them creeping up towards your ears. And if you'd like to move your head side to side, you can get a stretch through your neck while you're doing this too. One side, the other side. One side, the other side. And then we're going to find our North Node pose here, which is both knees open, both arms open. We can rest the backs of the hands on the knees. Rise up through your chest, opening in your heart. That's our balance. That's our focus. If you'd like, you can hold the ankles and pull with your arms to help rise up in your chest. You can look up. You can reach up through your chin, going all the way open. Huge breath into your chest. Huge heart. Really let yourself go all the way. And gently bringing your head back down and releasing the legs out. Okay, so the last vinyasa that we'll do, it's kind of a weird one I made up. I'm all into making up yoga poses. To me, yoga poses are a bit like the alphabet, right? There can be set poses, but we can write any word that we want by combining them in our own way. So a yoga pose to me is more like a suggestion than a rule. And usually when I'm practicing yoga, I make something up that I've never done before. So for this vinyasa, you're going to start lying on your side. You can prop your chest up using one forearm and your palm facing down on the ground. You're going to have one leg along the ground and the other one shooting forward with your foot resting on the ground. We're going to slide that foot out all the way and let our pelvis rotate until we're facing down towards the ground. And then pressing back up so you're sideways, allowing that foot to roll back in towards your pelvis. So we'll flow back and forth here a few times, facing down towards the ground. The pelvis opens all the way facing the ground, and then rolling back onto your side. Find the pace that's most comfortable for you. If you'd like to flow with your breath, you can do that. Maybe you want to inhale as you're sideways and exhale as you're facing down. Feeling the pelvis really opening each time you go with the pelvis facing down towards the ground. Maybe it opens a little bit more. We have both the Gemini dichotomy of 1, 2, 1, 2, and also this deep pelvic opening and the grounding support that's representing Mercury and the Capricorn planets. And then for our North Node pose here, you're going to bring both forearms to the ground, open up in your chest, reach up through your chin, and let's bend that knee of the leg that was out to the side. Long breath here, the pelvis is really open, the chest is rising up. Find your heart, find your sense of expansiveness and oneness. And let's stretch that bent leg all the way down. So we're in a proper Sphinx pose here. I'm going to just have a few more breaths, feeling that long line through your body. That's the North Node, right? It's the point that we're moving towards. Everything is moving in the same direction. And in this case, it has to do with healing the duality through love, a sense of unity and oneness. And letting your head release, maybe rolling your neck around a little bit. And we'll come to the other side. Lying on your side, using your forearm to prop your chest up. One leg down, the top leg reaching forward. And then sliding that foot out away from you until you're facing the ground. Pelvis nice and open. And then rolling back onto your side, letting that foot roll back in towards your pelvis. Find your own pace of movement. Maybe you'd like to flow with the breath. If so, I would try exhaling as you're facing down towards the ground and inhaling as you're facing sideways. And again, just to remind you, these poses are working with Scorpio energy, Mercury in Scorpio, the fears coming up through the pelvis, the grounded support, the sextile, with the Capricorn planets, and the duality of Gemini. One side, the other side. One side, the other side. And then we're going to find our North Node pose. Both forearms on the ground, the chest pressing forward and up. You can reach up through your chin. Long breaths, and we'll bend the leg that's extended out to the side. Feeling that deep opening in the pelvis. Reaching forward with the chest. Allow the breath to really expand your heart. Really expand your chest. Everything's working together through the chest, through the heart. Focus your energy there. And we can extend that bent leg all the way down for our full Sphinx pose. Everything moving in the same direction. One long line through your body. Pull the chest wide. Reach long through your chin. Expand. And we can let the head come down, stretching the neck a little bit. And we can come all the way around into sitting, finding whatever position is comfortable for you. And just resting in our seated position for a minute. Integrating everything that you've done. Good job, feeling happy, feeling proud of yourself. And releasing all the tension. Thank you guys so much for being here with me today. I will be back for the total solar eclipse on December 14th, which will be in Sagittarius. If you would like, you can email me. My contact is yogaanyday@gmail.com. I offer private classes one-on-one online, and I make personalized videos. Of course, your comments are appreciated, your likes are appreciated, but if you have anything personal you want to ask me about, I'm totally here for you, so don't be shy about reaching out to me, and I will get back to you. Be well, take care, thank you so much, and I hope to see you again.